בסדר, בסדר, את לא מפריעה.
אתה רואה אותם?
עכשיו רואים אותך באינטרנט. אתה פותח את ה-URL הזה, אתה רואה את השידור. זה ה-URL הזה. ov.com, event, Microsoft ThinkNext.
נייס.
מי שפותח את זה עכשיו רואה שידור חי. מהאירוע.
אתה תצלם את זה כאילו מטעם מייקרוסופט?
מטעם סטארט-אפ. מה?
כתבו משהו יכול להיות גם 10 של זה?
כן, כן, ואני בוחר, זה הפרודיוסר קונספט שלי. אני הנתב, אני הבמאי. אני עכשיו יכול לנתב, אני יכול לדבר עם כל הצלמים, למשל לשלוח לעצמי הודעות פה, לזוז, לזה, כן, דחקות. חזק, אה? מה? כל אחד עם מצלמת טלפון או בטאבלט, כן, על אנדרואיד רצות. הנה. תסתכל, זה הלינק. לא, לא, לא. אני משתמש כאן באפליקציה, וכאן יש לי כתובת של שרת בענן, שנותן לי את הפרודיוסר. אז אם אתה שם את הלינק הזה, עכשיו אתה רואה את עצמך. עכשיו יש דיליי. יש דיליי של איזה 10-15 שניות. אני מכין את זה לניסיון כי יש לי כנס בינלאומי בחודש הבא שהולך להשתמש בזה, אני רוצה להיות בטוח שזה עובד כמו שאני חושב. לא, אני לא הולך להציג, זה כנס שאני עוזר לארגן. אחרים מציגים. אז זה כנס בינלאומי וחלק מהאנשים לא הגיעו, אז שאפשר לשדר לקהילה שזה מעניין אותה, כן, שאפשר לשדר לקהילה שזה מעניין אותה חלק מהרצאות. עכשיו זה אחר כך הכל נשמר גם, אפשר גם לראות את זה אחר כך VOD, כאילו.
זה מצלם דרך האפליקציה.
זה מצלם דרך האפליקציה. אין להם תמיכה נגיד בגו פרו, לא, אין להם תמיכה בזה. הם משתמשים בקודק של... זה משתמש בקודק של כרום, ב-WebM. בעצם גוגל עושים שם את כל העבודה, כרום עושה את כל העבודה. בעצם רק אפליקציה מעל כרום, מעל אנדרואיד. אני עושה הרבה דברים. אני יזם, אני מלמד בטכניון, נון פרופיט יש לי גם. אני עוזר ליזמים. אני מבלה. אני עוזר, כן. אני מקווה שהוא יהיה מוצלח. הוא מוצלח מבחינה קלינית, אבל עוד לא מוצלח עדיין מבחינה עסקית. אבל יש סטארט-אפ אחר שאנחנו עכשיו חווים את הצמיחה. מה? אני דווקא מתעניין בתחום הרפואה. זה התחום שאני פעיל בו. לא, אבל אני עבדתי הרבה שנים בתחום הזה, ואני רופא לא מקצועי כזה. תייעצים איתי בלי אחריות. אבל תספר לי, זה סתם מסקרן אותי, אני אוהב רעיונות טובים.
אבל בוא, שלי גם תהיה לא ככה
בסדר?
אני פשוט משהו שיש פה...
We're about to begin. Please take your seats. To leave the player showroom.
לפעמים האינובציה היא בזה. בסדר, נשמח. אני מלמד בטכניון יזמות. בחשמל, מדעי מחשב והנדסה ביו-רפואית. בדיוק שהסטודנטים ילמדו שלא רק טכנולוגיה, אלא גם בדיוק לחשוב במונחים עסקיים. כי לא לומדים בטכניון יחידות של שקלים, דולרים, זה לא...
אני בדיוק עכשיו, כנראה יתחיל לעזור דווקא במשרד המינהל. זה לא משהו בשביל פיתוח עסקי הזה.
רצו שאני אלמד שם, אני גר בחיפה, זה לא בשבילי. עכשיו אתה אני צריך את המחשב הזה פתוח.
אני לא יכול את עליך?
אני עושה עוד דברים. צילמתי אותך.
Welcome to ThinkNext 2016, where innovation meets technology. Microsoft Israel R&D Center and Microsoft Accelerator. Please welcome tonight General Manager, Microsoft Accelerator, and Donna Porter-Rubenstein in Planning Microsoft.
Hi everyone, good evening.
Thank you for joining our ThinkNext. And this year is a special celebration for us because we're celebrating our 25th anniversary for the Israeli. A special call from someone. Bill? Bill?
Congratulations to everyone at ILDC on your 25th anniversary. I remember back in 1991 when some of the brilliant Microsoft engineers wanted to go back to Israel, but they wanted to keep working for Microsoft. So we agreed to open that center outside the United States. I recently reviewed a lot of the ILDC work, and I'm very impressed by what you're doing. You're not just making big contributions to Microsoft, you're helping advance the field of computer science by improving security, business analytics, and strengthening consumer analytics. I've always been proud that Microsoft invests a lot in R&D. It's one of the things that makes our company so special. Your accomplishments show why that investment is so worthwhile. Congratulations again on your anniversary. What you come up with in the next 25 years.
Thank you, Bill. So ThinkNext is not just about innovative products. It's about finding the coolest ideas that would become the most important trends of the future.
Unicorn.
Companies like Waze, Wix, Face.com, and many other companies have presented here at ThinkNext early on. So you don't know what you may find and see here on stage, because we have a pretty good tendency to find these baby unicorns.
Did you see that?
See what? No?
Anyway, so this year we've decided to take creativity and technology to the next limit. So we brought ideas for you from academia, startups from our accelerator programs, new ideas from as well as many startups from the industry.
Yeah, that's very cool. And by the way, we brought some of this really cool technology even here on stage.
So you're probably wondering what I'm wearing. Well, tonight I'm wearing Ganit Peleg Designs, the few Israeli women to be invited to speak at TED to share her vision of the fashion 3D printing. So my jacket and my shoes were actually 3D printed in her living room.
Yeah.
Which is why hopefully in the future we can all print our own clothes.
Can you print it in all kinds of sizes?
We'll have to check with her.
Yeah, thank you. Well, this is pretty cool, pretty awesome. So we have a really, really exciting lineup of speakers for you tonight. Our first speaker, our guest of honor tonight, is the CEO of Microsoft, Mr. Satya Nadella. He's going to be followed by a few power speaks about the future of transportation, the future of satellite communication, and we may even find a solution to cancer here on stage tonight.
But before we do that, let's get back to the celebration for a second. If we think about the past 25 years, we think about the contributions that the Israel Development Center has actually made to Microsoft. Windows, Office.
Proxy, Microsoft Security Essentials, Kinect, Xbox.
So many products, too many to name. So who better to kick us off than the General Manager of the Israel Development Center, Mr. Yoram Yacobi.
Hey, thank you, Zach. Thank you, Dana. Obviously, I'm very excited to be here, celebrating 25 years for Microsoft in Israel. It's amazing. So, me and Microsoft User R&D Center are super excited about that. It's been 25 years. We've seen this ecosystem growing from almost nothing in high-tech to one of the leading high-tech ecosystems in the world. We've been through all of that in Israel. So, it's super exciting. Now, none of this would be possible without actually three people that led the R&D Center in the first 20 years of the 25. Yaron Shamir, Avi Natan, and Moshe Littman. They are with us today. They've done an amazing job. Let's see what they have to say.
שנה ל-LDC, וואו, סימן תדע גדול. אני חייב להודות שב-1991, כשהסתכלנו קדימה, לא ראינו כל כך רחוק את האירוע הזה. אני רוצה לברך את כולכם, את כל אנשי ה-LDC, את יורם, את צוות ההנהלה שלו, שממשיכים להוביל, ואני מקווה להמשיך ולשמוע על ההסכמים המדהימים שלכם ב-25 שנים הבאות.
לפני עשור בדיוק הבאנו את החזון של הקמת מרכז המחקר והפיתוח האסטרטגי הראשון של מייקרוסופט, מחוץ לארצות הברית, במקרה הזה בישראל. התוצאות יעברו גם על המיליון הקרוב. תאמינו לי שלי אישית יש מיליון די קרוב. לא רק שה-IPC הפך לאבן שואבת לטובי המוחות בהייטק הישראלי, אלא גם ממש אור לגויים. ובינתיים מאחל לכולכם ליצור ולשנות את החיים של כולנו לטובה. אז יום הולדת.
Moshe, I know you're here, not done this without your leadership. But this is the past, and we are in ThinkNext. It's about the future. So I will want to, and I'm going to start with a question. How many of you, please raise your hands. It's hard to see. Most of you, it's not young people. That's good. Behind me, you should see, in a second, farmland. Remember farmland? That's actually where we grow the food that we eat.
Super.
So the next question is, how many of you actually grew today the food that you ate? Raise your hands. It doesn't count if you have a small pot of herbs in your balcony. Okay? So I don't see any hands. Don't feel bad about it. Actually, only 4% of the people on Earth today are responsible for getting food to our plates. Many years ago, it used to be all of us. All of mankind was responsible to getting food for our plates. Now, it's only 4%, which is amazing. So, why am I telling you that? Because by year 2030, not very far from now, expected that 2 billion jobs will disappear. 2 billion jobs. Really? Really? So what is it? We're going to have less lawyers? Wishful thinking. But we might have less lawyers. We acquired a company last year called Equivio, which actually a lot of the things lawyers do. So we might have less lawyers. What else? We're going to have less janitors? Could be. Robots are going to replace janitors. We'll have probably less janitors. Drivers? We all heard about autonomous cars. We're going to have more autonomous, less drivers. Yes, less drivers. By the way, this is good for us. There's research in the US that shows that once the US, most of the cars will be autonomous, the car accident will be 90% lower than it is today. So it's really good for us that we'll have cars without drivers. Because, you know, computers do have bugs, but they don't text while they drive. They don't talk on the phone while they drive. They don't shave or put makeup while they drive. So it's good for us. So all of these jobs, is it good or bad? I think it's very good. And the reason is that in the future, there'll be many, many new. I recently read a fascinating report, which is written by Thomas Frey, who talks about the 162 jobs of the future. I can guarantee you that if you read it, half of these jobs, you would not know what they are. You would not understand the word. It's a different future, it's a different job. Let's take two examples. Okay? Body and lean nature. Yes, yes. I mean, when we body parts, some have to nature. That's the job of the future. Okay? Augmented reality architects. We know architects in the physical world. We will have architects of the virtual space. Yes, we will spend more time in virtual space than today. And if this concerns you, think about what our parents thought when we spent more time in front of the TV. And they thought we're going to spend all of our time in front of the TV. People will spend more time in virtual space and someone. That's a job of the future. So I guess that's it. The time hackers, for that one, with my biohacking expert, I actually didn't look into what that means. Kind of scary. So I want to introduce you to two really cool jobs of the future. One is, we talked about autonomous cars. Autonomous cars means you don't have to drive, you don't have to pay attention to the road. So what can you do? Okay. You can, for example, of course, you can still tax and save and all this kind of stuff, but since you don't have to pay, you can have a much more retail experience. Microsoft created a retail experience car using Microsoft Cortana that gives you a really total immersion experience in the car because you don't have to drive. You can do lots of stuff. That's the job of the future. So that's one great example of such an experience. Another job of the future is really cool, sometimes called big data scuba diving, or I sometimes call it software engineer, or software engineer. Microsoft has recently launched, or actually right by a data center into water. Think about it, the whole data center into water. It makes tons of sense. There is tons of water on Earth. Most of Earth is stable water, so it's cheap to use it. Okay? In addition, the water cools the data center. So you don't have to cool it. Of course, we need some engineers to go in once in a while and fix stuff if you need to fix it. Let's see this experiment.
This is built in, and you hand it to the guy who will not let him speak up with a training. You can't do anything about it if it screws up.
So the data might differ from the ocean. I can't let you go without talking briefly about security or cybersecurity. All this vision and good things and jobs of the future will not be possible without security. If you look at some of the numbers, personal records were stolen in 2014, 1 billion stolen. 150 million cost of fixing a billion in your company. An amazing number. Look at the other side, the total infection is going to reach 2 million people in 2019. We will be reaching 2 million cybersecurity specialists by 2019. If this is not the job of the future, I don't know.
cybersecurity. Think about that. So, what do you want to do? Do you want to be an underwater software engineer, or a time hacker, or a cybersecurity professional? Opportunities are abundant, the choice will be yours. Now, there's one job of the future which will not disappear or will be here by 2030. It's called the CEO of Microsoft Corporation. Let me invite you to the stage. Second, the CEO of Microsoft. So, I am really excited now and have a chance to talk about the future. I was thinking about what's next. And very recently, I had a chance to read a book by an economist out of Northwest whose name is Robert Gordon. On the American right, I think it's wise and forward. For a bunch of techno-optimists like us, it's a bit of a downer. But one of the fascinating things you describe in that book is this 100-year period between 1870 and 1970. Both American productivity and quality of life, as measured by the GDP, was unlike anything in human history. In fact, you sort of go back to 1870 in New York, the chances are that your teams will have a lot of horsemen. We go back to 1940, all of us still live in New York. We also live in the internet, but think about it. Between 1870 and 1940, in your home, you had heat, you had a refrigerator, you had a flash storage. That's the first connection. And it changed life dramatically. And then we traced it all the way to 1970, we talked about how there was real productivity gains. And in fact, I remember there was this history. We joined the tech industry in 1990. I joined Microsoft in 1992. There was this thing going around, I think there was an economist out of MIT who was reading a paper saying, I see computers everywhere except in the productivity statistics. And then suddenly things changed. Between 1996 and 2004, in the US in particular, for the first time the productivity stats did go up. And it was attributed to the nature of work changing, especially because of the PC revenue. And since 2004, we really not had material gain in productivity. And this book goes on to sort of talk about maybe it's perhaps the narrow application of technology. Maybe too much of it is just going into consumer and entertainment, or even just how many more messaging solutions will we reinvent. And that's all, I think, fair criticism about the application of technology to drive the betterment of human life and humankind. And I think that's really both our opportunity as well as our responsibility. That should be, I think, the theme for this ThinkNext, which is next 70 years or the next 100 years, are we all going to make sure that this so-called fourth industrial is going to have the kind of impact that actually the second industrial revolution had. And I think that's the frame with which at least we should approach what's coming. For us at Microsoft, everything starts with our mission. This mission to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more is not just a set of words, it's got deep meaning for us. We're a platform company first and foremost. That means we really care about creating success for our ecosystem. But there are lots of key parts to it. For example, we at Microsoft think a lot about not only individuals and how we empower them, but we think about organizations. institutions are super important. Individual brilliance is super important. And so for us, even when we think about our software, we think about organizational and individuals and as first-class constructs. Obviously, the global nature. In fact, even today, having spent the day in Israel, it's one of the stats that struck me in the IT side of Israel, creating local ecosystems. Close to 40 people participating in the Microsoft ecosystem. That's what the PC and the client server revolution created. The impact we have in either healthcare or in public sector or in education, the broad swath of what a society represents and how you contribute to it in every country, 192 countries that we operate in. And then the last thing, though, is perhaps the most key thing for me and for all of us at Microsoft, which is our success is not dependent on our products in some sense. It's more dependent on the success that our customers, our partners have with us. It could be a developer writing an application or creating a startup. And our entire sort of zygote, customers and partners succeed. That's really the mission driving forward. We are focused in what I describe as this mobile first cloud first world. How do we bring to life this new mission in this evolving technological paradigm of mobile first cloud first? And we have a pretty first-class view of what we mean by mobile first. To me, it's not the mobility of one device. It's the mobility of the human experience across all the computing in our life. There's nothing secular. 5 years, 10 years from now, things that we are risk. We will have more and more computing. And the question is, as you move about, how are you able to access your experiences across all this computing? And that's, of course, something that the cloud orchestrates. And that's why we think of these both revolutions happening together. And in that context, we have 3 very bold ambitions of our own. This is our goal of how we drive this next 40 years, 50 years, 70 years. And the first one is about reinvention of productivity. And I mean seriously reinvent productivity. It's not about just building 5 more tools. A new information fabric that helps allocate for each one of us the only scarce resource that we have, which is our time. Because one of the fascinating things is in all this abundance of technology, what is scarce is human attention and time. And if we can be great at allocating that time to things that matter, things that will reshape our organization, then I think everything else falls into place. And in order to do that, you have to sort of really rethink even what work is. Work clearly is not about you showing up at some place. Work is about you being able to get things to happen wherever you are. Work is also not something that you just do on your own. It's not even just collaboration where you just put a communication channel on top of what you're doing. What if we can bring the tools to the conversation and the collaboration you are in fact as a platform, as the next paradigm for what productivity would mean. But perhaps more than anything else, it's this intelligence by reasoning over context. And in that context, there are 3 things. One is what we know about you, what we know about the world, and the domains of interest. And to give you a flavor for what that you as a salesperson, or whether it's you as an individual caring about your health,
I wanted to just bring up my colleagues from our ILDC center to just take you through a couple of wireframes to show you what this world would look like. I want to.
Hi everyone, my name is Ohad, and for the sake of the next 2 minutes, I'll be the sales manager of newtime.com, a time management startup, and I have a problem. I'm already late for my meeting with Janet from Sunrise Enterprises. I didn't have any time to prepare for this meeting. Luckily for me, I have my personal assistant, Cortana, that will help me prepare for this meeting in no time. You can notice that I'm using Cortana on an Android device. As I open up Cortana, Cortana pulls the information from my calendar and shows me the meeting I have. Let's go into the details of this meeting and see what's in. So Cortana shows me LinkedIn a new title for Janet Smith. She's now the VP Services of EMEA, so I'll make sure to congratulate her on her recent promotion. Cortana and search the graph to find the most relevant. This is the meeting minutes of my previous meeting with Janet, and also the on top of integrated which accounts and deals I'm discussing today. So let's go into the account and see what's in there. I can see the active deal and a new lead, Tom Can, someone from my sales team has created this and put a new opportunity. We seem to upgrade the field version to 2016. So I'll make sure to discuss this with Janet and see if there's a way for me to promote that. There's an active case that has been recently opened, so I won't be surprised by it if it comes during the meeting. And from being company news, Cortana was able to retrieve a news item which is very interesting for me. Sunrise Enterprises acquired DSAE, that's the South American distributor. So maybe there's a new opportunity for me there, and I'll check it out. I can see the location of where they are. And finally, let's look into the deal itself and see what's in there. So in this deal, I can see the product items which I'm trying to sell, quantities, price, competitors, and I see that a new competitor has been added later. Those guys are. Okay, I'm ready for my meeting with Janet now. See you guys in a second.
So, hi everyone. My name is Hadas. I'm Ohad's colleague. Ohad is now back to his office. Hey Ohad, how was your meeting?
Actually, it was awesome.
Great. You're running around all day, I see.
You bet.
I see that you have a new mic. Let's see what Cortana can do for you. So Ohad has a new Microsoft band, and with his wearable device, Cortana can now start learning more things about him and get more user understanding about him to help him with his activity goals. So Ohad is opening Cortana on his Surface. Cortana is integrated with Microsoft Health. And we see, Ohad can see his fitness progress for today compared to yesterday. We see that indeed today was a much more busy day for him. He's been more active than yesterday. Let's drill down some more into the data. So wow, that meeting was really exciting and you've been running. We see his data peaked at the meeting time. So Ohad is a busy salesman. He has his sales goals. But what about some personal goals? Microsoft Health gives Ohad personalized recommendations for goals that are based on similar people and gives him a comparison on how he's doing compared to those goals. So we can see exercise, your recommended goal is 52 minutes per week. You're currently at 16. Hey man, you can do better than this.
Okay. I better let Cortana stay on top of my business goals and my personal health goals.
Thank you, everyone. Back to you, Saka.
What it shows is how fundamentally the app model is going to change going forward. I sometimes think about the agent-oriented canvas as being like the browser, which is the third runtime. It is what's going to increasingly define how applications get built, where your context, personal, as well as what the world around you and the particular task or domain come together in a seamless fashion, where you're not trying to put this all together in your head by navigating from app to app, but apps are being served to you in the context of what you're trying to get done. And I think that is going to be the new browser or the new runtime that we're all going to be building for. What I want to talk about actually is our cloud. And the cloud infrastructure that we are building out is distributed infrastructure of how compute, storage, and network, and I know there's a significant amount of innovation happening in Israel around it, and clearly at the scale at which, for example, we ourselves are operating, which is over 1 million machines, the foundations of what is compute, storage, and network and how you communicate it completely change. But beyond that change, we do believe that distributed computing is not going to get locked up, even without trying to hyperscale in a few data centers that we run around the world. Just both the physics as well as the economics are going to have distributed computing remain distributed. That's why I think of our servers as the edge of our cloud. Even some of the innovation that we have in our database products, where you can stretch something like the order item table infinitely into the cloud and have your queries run without breaking. So there's a lot of innovation in core distributed systems that is to come. But more perhaps than anything else, it's the data platform. If there is the new currency of this fourth industrial revolution, it's the ability to reason over large amounts of data, put that into value. And that is where everything from how we store, process, and reason over, using things like machine learning or even things like deep learning, is where the value add comes. And even to meet some of the startups here, startups that are changing how, for example, sports is viewed by fans, how even the rights around sports content is managed, or how you can change or bend the curve on the economics and quality of ultrasound. Or even more workloads to go deploy in the cloud. This is all the kinds of things where they're all data products, information products, or intelligence products. That to me is what this next generation really represents. And the last area I want to talk about is personal computing. When we think about the history of personal computing, of a history of our industry, we see that it's punctuated by creation of new categories. These profound changes in input and output. And that's how we work with Windows going forward. It's not about having the next version of the desktop operating, which of course we will do and will continue to do. But it's this invention of new computers. Everything that we're doing either on the IoT side, where things like cybersecurity are going to matter a lot, or what we're doing with something like Surface Hub, where we are in effect inventing a new conference room computer, where multiple people can come collaborate, and remote participants can participate as if you were in the meeting, or what we're doing with HoloLens, and essentially create a new category. And HoloLens, in the coming months, we will get our first units out, and especially to developers. And it's a new medium. Throughout our history so far, we've created these mirror worlds, right? We've taken these metaphors that have existed in analog, and created digital artifacts. A good example of it is actually the desktop, which we know exists in the physical world. We created a digital metaphor, and that sort of created a graphical user interface that took off on the PC. But for the first time now, we have the ability to bring digital artifacts into the view in the analog world. And that is a new medium. That is the mixed reality or the holographic world that we are creating. And it's going to have profound impact. It's going to change how medicine is taught or practiced. It's going to change how people design anything from an industrial good to a building. It is, of course, also going to change entertainment in terms of games. What Minecraft is in AR is very different, because you're mining your physical space virtually. And even just thinking of that is so fascinating, because it requires us to even, for the creators, to think very differently of this medium. So to give you a feel for what this world looks like, let's roll the video.
Look around. Technology is all around us. We use it in every aspect of our lives. It enables us to do amazing things. But what if we could go further? What if we could go beyond the screen? Where your digital world is blended with your real world. Now we can. This is the world with holograms. What will they enable us to do? New ways to visualize our work.
I have an idea for a full tech.
New ways to share ideas with each other.
I think they're different.
Just put the images in OneDrive. More immersive ways to play. New ways to teach and learn.
So put the new track in the place of the old one.
No.
And tighten here and here.
New ways to collaborate and explore the places we've never been.
Look at this formation. Let's take a closer look.
And new ways to create the things we imagine. Because when you change the way you see the world, you can change the world you see. This
I love that expression, which I think can even be ThinkNext really represents. When you change the way you see the world, you change the world you see. It's really the opportunity that each of us has as we think about this next wave of technology. There is no doubt that a country like Israel, with the human capital that is here, is going to change the world. It's going to change every aspect. Let our aspiration, as you think about what you do next, or what we collectively do next, let our aspiration be so narrowly focused on what is fashionable today. Let us broadly think about society and the economy and how everyone can thrive. Be it medicine, be it pharma, be it any one of these industries, which is increasingly going to have digital content. How do we fundamentally democratize it? How do we make sure even the surplus that is created is even more evenly distributed? Not only in the society of Israel, but in every country that you all are going to have an impact on. I think that is the opportunity and the responsibility in front of all of us. Thank you so very, very much. Have a fantastic.
The real question that needs to be asked, as well as answered, is what is it that we can do that is unique, that is impactful?
And a desire to make a difference. What we do impacts each and every one of us.
Technology has the power to unite us.
That is something to be celebrated.
I said I thought my painting days were over.
But the vision has evolved, and our mission is clear. We are going to empower every individual and every organization to do more.
I built a computer with a Lego.
To achieve more.
We can study black writers without disturbing the natural environment, so we can help keep them safe.
Technology has changed Braylon's life by opening up the world for him.
It is a process of continuous renewal. It's about looking for
What I can do to help compute a cure for cancer. That's what I like to do.
and asking the question, what can we do together? There is no limit to how far we can go.
If you dream big enough and believe in your dreams, you can make it happen.
So talking about dreamers, we live in times where startups are changing the world. Every day, industries are being disrupted. Markets are being transformed. Everything we perceive as normal changes dramatically. Personally, I love it. It's exciting, and moreover, to think that so many of these super exciting technologies are coming out of here, this small place in the Middle East called Israel. It's pretty exciting. This is also the place where 4 years ago, we started the first Microsoft Accelerator program. And I want to thank Satya Nadella, who was here on stage earlier, for believing in our dream and sharing our vision and dream of building a global Microsoft Accelerator program. And I want to share with you that in years, we've built the #1 corporate accelerator program in the world. What's next? Next is scaling.
The scaling.
Yes, this is scaling. It's a program of a next generation accelerator that works with later stage startups and help them be even more successful, helping them grow.
Wow, that's great. Guys, at tonight's event, both in the demo area and on stage, we see two main technology themes. The first one is about how technology is actually redefining, creating demand that we didn't even have, and through that it's disrupting traditional industries. We transportation with security, and you're going to hear some amazing talks about that. And the second trend was all about how productivity is taken to the next level, like machine learning, contextual analytics, personal assistance, all of these technologies meant to do one thing, which is make our lives simpler. So now we're about to hear 3 power talks that are going to talk each of them about a disruption full domains, and then in the end we're going to have a wonderful musical tribute. So sit back and enjoy.
Enjoy.
Welcome, Gerald J. Sanders, CEO, Skytran Incorporated.
Thank you all for having me. Simple question, who loves traffic? Come on, let's hear it. Who loves traffic? Nobody? Oh, you do back there. Okay, I've got good news for you. You're going to get more of it. This is our world. Traffic. Doesn't matter if you're in Manhattan or Mumbai, London, Luanda. This is our world, and it's getting worse. We're getting more cars, population's growing, the middle class is growing in India, China, other places in Asia. The first purchase those families make is the automobile. And the bad news is what not being told by the innovation in transportation people is that this congestion is no different with shared cars, because shared cars are actually on the road more time than a car that's not shared. Public transportation is on the roads, clogging our arteries. Self-driving cars, we heard before how you can be able to sit in your car and watch TV and talk to your... Why do you have to do that in your car? Surface traffic, taxis, electric cars, carpools, they're all stuck in the same traffic, all of them. And so unless we change this surface traffic paradigm, we're going to get pollution. And there are kids in India, there are kids in China, there are kids in the Philippines who haven't seen a blue sky and sunshine since the day they were born. What is the solution? Well, some people say more roads. Let's build more roads. But every study, LSE, London School of Economics, MIT, the Property and Environmental Research Commission, I could go on with as many alphabets as you like, have shown definitively the more roads you build, the more traffic you get. I'm sure each of you has experienced this. They call it vehicle kilometers traveled, rises in direct proportion to available lanes of kilometer roadway. So you build more roads, you get more traffic. No magic there. The 21st century solution is a system that will go as fast as a bullet train, will use less energy than a hybrid car, will operate like a computerized car, will be free of traffic just like a subway is, will ride above the traffic, and it's called Skytran. What is Skytran? Well, this is what it is. As you can see, it's very cool. It's elevated flying transportation. It goes above the traffic. It's about 1/10 the cost of light rail and 1/100th the cost of a bullet train. And it's energy efficient. It doesn't pollute. Has a tiny footprint. It's a small 18-inch pole. Supports the entire framework. And it's so you don't have to close the city. Anybody who's been in Tel Aviv knows we're looking at 7 years of disruption because of one light rail line. Who are we? Well, we're a NASA SpaceX company. We're based at the Ames Research Center in California. And today we have the great fortune of working with Israel Aerospace Industries as a co-developer. Wow. Skytran, as I mentioned, costs less to build and operate than any other transportation. We're slightly more than a sidewalk. How does it work? Well, I'm going to show you, because thanks to our Microsoft friends, I have some equipment here. What you're looking at here is plastic and aluminum. Plastic, as you know, is non-magnetic. Aluminum, as you may not know, also has no iron and is not magnetic. What I have in my hand is a magnet. Well, let's see what happens when I drop the magnet from the plastic to the aluminum. It drops straight down. Now, why is that? Because of gravity. We don't know that. There, but look what happens when I change the orientation of the magnet and I drop it from the plastic to the aluminum.
Eddy currents.
Boom, almost a complete stop. Now, why is that? That's because I lied. Aluminum, although it's not magnetic, has what physicists call loose electrons. And these loose electrons do interact with magnets. How do they do that? They act like invisible fingers trying to stop that magnet from landing. They counteract the force of gravity. Now, anyone who's been on a roller coaster has experienced this phenomenon because this is how. So our NASA engineers said, well, what if we took this force, it's called an eddy force, what if we took this eddy force and used it to our advantage to create something we now call magnetic wings? So here, magnets, two magnets, we attach them together, we angle them, we drop them from the plastic, and boom, what you're seeing is, in effect, magnetic flight. There we go. So it's a magnetic glider. And they said, well, what if we took these wings and we attached our Skytrain vehicle to it? And that's what I'm going to do now. And we gave it some propulsion. That's what I'm also going to do now with the help of this little yellow band. I'm going to pull this vehicle forward towards me, and it should just come straight to me, right? But actually what you see is flight. It lifts off. Now, why does it lift off? Let me show it to you again. It lifts off because of these magnetic wings. These magnets, as soon as you give them some sort of propulsion, want to rise, want to fly. And what you're seeing, and this is what's key, is you're seeing basically levitation that is cost-free. All we're doing is providing the propulsion. As soon as we start moving, the vehicle lifts off. As soon as you lift off, when you reduce friction or eliminate friction from your energy use drops and you can go very fast. How fast? 150 miles an hour. That's about 240 kilometers an hour. And we can do this, as I said, using less energy than a hybrid car. Now, what else is cool about this is that we don't stop at anyone else's station. It'll follow your schedule. And it is very, very inexpensive to build and operate. How do we get propulsion? I mentioned that we have to somehow push this vehicle forward. Well, we do it with a simple rotary motor on which we have magnets. And what happens with that rotary motor is, what you see here is this magnetic motor inside an aluminum sleeve. And
about the drive system.
When we get generator braking.
So when that aluminum sleeve is fixed, what happens is the magnets in the motor go forward. And when the magnets go forward, our wings, these are our magnetic wings, lift up the vehicle, and this whole thing flies using very little energy. So we can go on top of the rail, we can go. How you slice it, we're best in class. And this is what we're doing today. We're constructing this system, full demo system. Until now, we've only built subscale systems. This is a full-size system going on in Israel Aerospace Industries at the moment. We now have what we call our bogey flying on the guideway at IAI, and we're doing that here in Israel. So tomorrow, rolling this out in all of these places and cities that have already requested systems from us, and we're going to keep the planet blue. Thank you very much.
Wow.
Please Jasmine Fisher, Senior Soft Research.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you for the invitation. I'm super excited to be in front of you. And I wouldn't be standing here today if it wasn't for all these wonderful people, friends. And if it wasn't for them, I would probably be on a completely different path. But because of them, I decided to focus my work on cancer. And I don't think I need any or heavy statistics to convince you that this is something that touches on everyone's life. And for each and everyone knows at least one person that either suffers from cancer or died of cancer. Quite some time ago, I made a conscious decision to dedicate my work to these, as a biologist, to develop these technologies that will change the way we do research, and in particular will tackle this problem once and for all in a proper way. And I think we need to start by asking ourselves the question, why is cancer so complicated? And why haven't we solved it by now? And we need to understand that when we're talking about biological systems, living systems, cells, we're dealing with complexity that is astronomical. And we're dealing with systems with millions of different entities, molecules, genes, proteins that are all interacting with one another in parallel. And this whole soup of chemical is orchestrated by the various cellular machineries that make sure that everything happens in the right time, in the right place, and cells divide when they're supposed to divide, and they die when they're supposed to die. But unfortunately, and it's actually quite rare, sometimes mistakes do happen, and then cells get out of control and start dividing in an uncontrolled manner, and behind me you can see the various hallmarks of cancer. Processes that eventually lead to these cancer. When we're talking about cancer, when we're talking about dealing with cancer, we actually need to attack on all these different fronts. And we need to remember that cancer doesn't have any purpose, doesn't have any plan, it doesn't have. It simply evolves. And it evolves and it interacts with our own genetic predisposition. And it doesn't have a clear. That's why it's so complicated to fix it at Hangar. So what do we do about this? My research group in Cambridge has been pioneering this new approach over the past 12 years that is called. And the idea is quite simple. The idea is to think about biological programs as computer programs, and to use the same kind of techniques that we are using to develop software and hardware and check do what they're supposed to do. This is a field that is called formal verification. We do that for biological programs. We verify biological programs. We make sure that they actually behave properly. That's the idea. Now, when we do that, when we build these kinds of models for biology, these computer programs that describe and mimic and simulate biological processes, we can then figure out what is the exact set of instructions that tells the cell, what is the algorithm, what is the program that tells the cell to behave in a particular way, to die, and so on. And by building these models, these computational models as we call them, and then comparing them to the actual experimental observations that we see in the lab, we can identify quite easily where the gaps are in terms of what we think the mechanism that explains a certain biological behavior is. So we can really see where the gaps are with what we think about the system and what we actually see from the lab. And in order for this approach to actually be used hands-on by biologists, by clinicians, it has to be accessible, and it has to be wrapped in a way that every biologist that is not a programmer can actually use And behind me, you can see one such tool that has been developed in my group in Microsoft Research, where we developed this suite of different tools that are all done in very graphic, they all have very graphical user interface. And not only that the model is done like with a canvas where you can drag and drop the different entities. Here you can see an example of a leukemia model with a cell and the gene inside and the interactions between them. Also, the sophisticated analysis that is running at the back end is very graphical and user-friendly interface. And we do these kinds of models from blood cancer. So we are modeling different types of cancers, from blood cancers like leukemia all the way to solid tumors. And I'll show you a few examples. This is an example of how a leukemia model would look like, and this is one of the models that we've been building, where we came up with of new combinations of drugs in order to overcome a phenomenon that is called resistance. So there are many cases today in cancer where there are drugs, and over time the patients become resistant to the drug. And this is one of the major challenges today in cancer therapy. By building these kinds of models, we can look at this in a much more broad sense, and we can figure out all the different paths that the body can evolve around the drug, the route that will not allow this to happen. And that's what we've done in this context. But I just wanted to mention another thing, that we also started to work industry. My group is in particular working with AstraZeneca, and here we've also been using clinical data where we build these models based on patient-specific data, and then the predictions were also validated experimentally on the same cell samples taken from the patient. We're also working with neurosurgeons and radio-oncologists on the development of tumors that simulate the development of a very aggressive type of brain cancer called glioblastoma. And what you can see here is a simulation of such a tumor. Now, the way things happen in practice today is that a biopsy patient, and then in the best case scenario, grown in a petri dish, and then all sorts of tests are done on the petri dish, which can take weeks and even months. What kind of chemo, what kind of radiation, what would be the best treatment for that particular patient. Because there's quite a huge variability between patients that are suffering from glioblastoma, and there's a great need to tailor the treatment to the individual. By simulating these kinds of models, we can then mimic the effect of the chemotherapy and the radiotherapy, and in a matter of minutes, we can get an answer, what is the specific course of action for a particular patient with a particular genetics, with a particular set of markers. So obviously, these kinds of executable biology models have huge advantages in our fight on cancer. They give us new biological insights. They will allow us to identify new drug targets and new combinations of drugs, and also to find smart ways to fight strategies to fight drug resistance. And in addition to the many efforts and many technologies that we have today to do better detection of cancer and better diagnostic of cancer, and also, as you heard from Hadas, also to monitor our well-being, the idea that we can really build these computer models that will allow us to compute the mechanisms, the cancer mechanism, which will allow us to understand better the drivers of cancer, will also allow us to control them better, and will also pave the way for us to identify these bottlenecks across many different cancers so that we can then tackle them in the same manner that we use antibiotics against many bacteria. And this will really pave the way for better cancer treatments and also personalized cancer treatments. And I would like to end, I'm not saying that we will eradicate cancer altogether, but I am saying that 10 years from now, using these kinds of technologies and allowing us, which allows us to control the drivers of cancer, will solve the problem, and it will be solved.
Please welcome Dr. Razi Tzaki Tamir, CEO of Sky5.
Hi. I believe we are all connected. Every one of us has a mission, tikkun we call it. He has to undergo in life. To know about our mission is through our interactions with others, through our connections. Is one of the greatest and most important things we have in life. So talking about connection, this is the image of the great resemblance to our brain. Like our brain, it evolves in concepts, new ideas, new people enters our global consciousness. So like the brain, our body is composed of organs. They are connected to our nervous system. And actually, when we feel, for example, when my foot aches, I do not feel the pain actually in my foot. I do not see in my eyes. They're all just sensors. I hear, I see here in my brain. So, like our body, every continent in the world is like an organ. They all has to be connected. I think the image of that is Facebook relationships. See how they look like. So Facebook relationships are actually drawing the map of the world. But still living some dark places. In these places, they're not linked. They cannot tell their story. So, is it possible to have a nervous system like we have in the body, but for us, for every human being in the world? How do we do that? The only place in the world that can connect us all, whether it's sea, on land, or in the air, is space. Satellites. Satellites can connect us all. We don't have such satellite services. Why is that? That's because satellites are very expensive. It costs tens to hundreds of millions of dollars to build and launch a satellite. Not the case. What if we could build satellites that were both affordable and still powerful enough to connect us all? That's exactly what we need. This is a real-size satellite. This satellite is called like a seed. We send it to space in clusters. They are very small, so many satellites are sent together, and when they grow. They grow to be a full satellite, capable of transmitting up to 1 gigabit, which is what these type of satellites, called nanosatellites, are capable to do today. Let me see you the full size. I'll show you. So, this is a grown-up.
Female or male?
So this satellite has expanded solar panels, and a large dish that enables it to communicate at a high throughput, high rate with Earth. 60 satellites of this size can cover the entire planet, providing internet and access to everyone. I'll show you how it works. So a cluster of satellites is launched. They share the cost of the launch. Opens. We launch all the satellites. First of all, we share the ride with the large satellites to reduce costs. And here we are. The pods open and the satellites go out. And then they open. And then each satellite joins the constellation of 60 satellites. Providing access to everyone, everywhere, all the time. Our have a special system that enables to change the footprint of the satellite in order to increase the bandwidth, the capacity of the satellite, in this case, towards Israel. They behave as a cluster using machine learning algorithms to improve the service they provide. Here are a few examples of what we can achieve with such a constellation. We can provide Wi-Fi, create Wi-Fi bubbles in Africa, providing internet access, backward to cellular, backward to the cloud in Japan. All of that is done simultaneously, since the constellation covers the entire planet and it is very flexible. We can communicate with airplanes, with boats. Even we can provide backhauling services to the submerged data centers you mentioned before. So this is an infrastructure that we're currently creating. I would like to conclude with an idea. It's actually a line from a song by Leonard Cohen saying, crack in every. That's how the light gets in. So, in our view, the best use to our technology is the ideas that actually the ideas, the stories, what we bring. And we're trying to connect everyone to create a better world for us and for future generations. Thank you very much.